What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Eclectic Beard Gaming Reactions. Cheers to the Eclectic crew. If you're new here to the channel, like, subscribe, and notification bell. Every bit of my content, for the most part, is from viewer suggestion. This is one of those ones. Tom MacDonald. Now he's kind of a unique cat. He's got some viewpoints on some things that has. Well, some folks, some folks they can call them. How do I put this? A lot of folks think he's corny. Some folks they think he just looks for attention. But he definitely hits people either the right way. Either you love him or you definitely. I've never seen any middle ground with this cat. This is one of those ones, fake woke. I'm interested to see what this is what this song, what he says in this song, because yeah, his last few songs that had anything political in them, slightly spot on, to be honest with you. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at this one. Let's go ahead and get into it.
I think it's crazy I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls. There's rappers pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong in any sort of way on that one. Nothing against Cardi B whatsoever. However, maybe that's not the best role model for kids. Now, take a look at her success and shoot for the success. Yeah, that's cool beans. But as a role model, maybe. And now, as far as the drug use and stuff like that, yeah, that's heavily prevalent in rap, and it's some they take and use it as a means of, watch out, don't do this. Others, it's way more glorified than anything. But I find it interesting. It's getting harder. It's harder to find a job than it is to buy a gun. So the indictment on. I'm interested to hear where he's going to go with this.
Pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American.
Wow, he went there. Oh my God. All right. Well then, woo, Tom. Jesus Christ, homie. Eminem could, one thing and he could ruin your career, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. That's the crazy thing about it. You're not wrong. And from what I've seen, Tom MacDonald wasn't a Trump supporter. However, some of the hypocrisies that he's seen and pointed out, like that right there's a perfect example. Don't vote, don't listen to me if you voted for Trump, but come here, bitch, I'm gonna take this bullet and put it through you. You got Kim, where he takes and kills his baby mama. You got Criminal, where it was nothing but one big gay bash. You can't. How do you know? I understand what he's saying with the reconciliation between you're gonna take and put this out, and it's still out there for people to listen to, and you stand behind it as some of your best work. But yet, oh wow, that is, dude, like, woo. Ask MGK how stuff went for him. He's doing pop punk now.
Bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American. You should probably love it, because you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children, we were taught how to.
We hate that we're American, but you should probably love it. because you don't get stoned to death because of it. And he's talking about countries where if you speak negatively against whoever's in power, it's a death sentence. Like, and that's going after the whole people that take control our government and the way we take and way things go and the way things went under Trump and stuff like that. Even now, under Biden, there's a lot of folks, oh, we're living under an authoritarian regime. And really, if you look through history, you see what an authoritarian regime actually is. You wouldn't be able to make that statement without being thrown in jail.
You probably love it because you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say as homophobic or racist. If you're white, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got Me Too'd or they're rapists. They never freed the slaves. They realized that they don't need to change. They gave us tiny screens, we think we free because we can't see the cage. They knew that race war would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame.
Technically, racism or technically slavery in the U.S. never stopped. It's just you can't. They freed the slaves. However, they just moved the plantation. And if you think I'm wrong, you take a look at the number of minorities, especially African Americans, that are locked up in our system, and to look at the amendment that freed the slaves. It's no longer, you can no longer own slaves, but it's not outlawed because the only way you can be a slave or you can do that slavery can exist is through the penal system. Think I'm wrong, look at the amendment. That's all I'm going to say. Now, he's actually got a point with the fact that, number one, the media, I think that the media needs to be defunded. Everybody, oh, defund Planned Parenthood, defund this, defund that, defund the police, defund the media. Because he's right. Everything is like, and I'm not saying there's no problems as far as race relations. There are issues that still need to be ironed out. However, the way things are magnified by the media adds to problems that could be solved. It adds fire. It adds fuel to the fire. Completely. I've said for a long time, media needs to be defunded, just because of the power they have and the reach they have. It's the reason why it's called TV programming, because they are programming you here in the U.S. The CIA, Operation Mockingbird, feeding the media what they want the Americans to know. If you think that it's stopped, I got ice to sell you in the desert, like a whole iceberg worth.
War would be the game they need to play. For people to big teams, they use the media to feed the flame. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they.
Ben Shapiro approved. Facts don't care about feelings.
Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings. I think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor because he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he's.
Now, see, this is what's. He's going after both sides of this, which I find interesting because he's right. Whether you take and agree with people wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, or whether you think they should take and be out and about or they stay home, like you see.
Woke, hate their neighbor because he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue because they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think.
Bruh. Mr. MacDonald. If you're looking to take and piss everyone off, Like you're gonna people that pay attention to the words, the normal folks that listen to you that normally love your stuff. I have a feeling they're gonna find issue with some of this, but also the ones that already call you corny, they're gonna take and find issue with this. Social justice warriors are definitely gonna find issue with this. I'm not saying you're wrong in your comparisons because you're hitting a lot of stuff very spot on. There's very big difference between actual hate speech and speech that you hate. A lot of times, it's not. There's no distinction because you hate what somebody says. It's called hate speech, and that's happened in numerous examples. It doesn't matter what it's on or against. Like this is, bruh. Boy, you decided to open the can of worms on this one, ain't you?
It's an issue because they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend Thanksgiving Day with food and my family without being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided as black.
Wow. Bro. Oh my God. So we got BLM. We got the subject of BLM. That's covered. Which I will say this on the subject of BLM. I found it interesting that the right side of the aisle were excoriating what was happening, all the rioting and stuff like that, which isn't cool. You don't burn down innocent business owners like small mom and pop businesses and stuff like that as a means of rectifying the situation. The irony to me was the fact that it was being done in the names of Black Lives Matter by skinny white people wearing mask or without mask, but skinny white people who also, whenever they were asked by the African Americans to please stop doing what they were doing, would attack said African American or even transgender and gay people, as was done. Yeah, I wish I could find the video to take and actually pop up so y'all could see that, but that's going to take a lot of digging on Twitter. Yeah, that's but the whole enjoy Thanksgiving food basically without feeling like a racist because you're enjoying Thanksgiving food because everything these days are an issue. It's like people forget that countries have histories. Not all of it's going to be all beautiful history. It's just not the way it works. You take a look at any country in the world and there's a history that's dark somewhere in there. It's as simple as that. Like, wow. Wow, bro, you definitely woo. You definitely decided to bite it all off in one go on this one.
Black and white and political. Republicans are bigots, libtards if you're liberal. There's riots in our streets and it's just getting worse. Y'all screaming deep on the police, y'all are genius for sure. They're underfunded already, they're way too busy to work. Order food and call the cops, see what reaches you first.
What I found funny was we got the calls of defund the police, but places like the autonomous zone there in Seattle, whenever one of the people that were with the BLM and Antifa crowd decided to take and have a fight with each other and shoot the other person, they wouldn't allow the cops in. And standard protocol in this country is, especially if there's been a shooting, that the cops have to take and go in before EMS to ensure that the situation is no longer dubious. And because they wouldn't allow the cops in, the EMS couldn't get in because of protocols. But yet the cops were the ones blamed by the people there. Like, I found the whole juxtaposition of what happened, fascinating. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the people that took in, I'm not saying African Americans don't have agreements. There's definitely a grievance to be had due to the historical racism that exists in this country and some of the systems that still exist that do not help uh, at all. Not saying that at all, because there's definite things that have to be fixed still. But the whole defund the police at BLM and the Antifa crowd and stuff like that were hollering, and then you have situations where someone gets hurt or they get their butt kicked, and then they call for the police. I just found that highly ironic, but maybe that's just me. But yes, you take and call Grubhub or something like that, and you call the police, or you call for like delivery pizza, and you call for the police. You see which one gets there first. I can almost promise you it will not be the police unless you live in a like well-to-do neighborhood.
Segregation ended, that's a lie in itself. That was a strategy to make us think they were trying to help. They knew that racism was hot if they designed it to sell. We buy up every single box and divide us ourselves. They so fake woke, facts don't care about.
He's not wrong on that one either. But you could also take a look at developments that's being done through gentrification, and that's just another way of segregation. But like Minnesota, where Mr. George Floyd died, Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Mr. George Floyd died, one of the most segregated cities in the country. Segregation still happens. It's done through economic means, like you taking, yeah, that's how it's done these days.
They so fake woke, facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke, same old safe zones. They so fake woke, facts don't care about your feelings. We use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase, but you and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless.
Boy.
If a man has mental illness, call him crazy, say it silently. When country's going crazy, we accept it as society. Get sick and take a pill. When the side effects get you high, you get addicted like these rappers dying, fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is. Removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How'd we let them make praying a microaggression? Instead
Damn! Holy crap, Tom.
of asking God for the strength to keep winning, we cheat to get ahead and then we ask him for forgiveness. Feminism used to be the most righteous of fights, but these days it feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding, but everything else that I said is right. They so fake.
Oh yeah, he definitely tried pissing everybody off in one go because he left the feminists out.
Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake, whoa, same old safe zones. They so fake, whoa, facts don't care about your feelings.
And there we have it, Tom MacDonald, fake woke. Now, I'm going to say this. I will say this. All right. One of the things that I see with people that react to Tom MacDonald that do not care for him, they miss the forest for the trees. Like, they take and go after his straight white male and white, his other song, like racism and, or his songs that take and touch on racism. If I were a black guy and stuff like that, they miss the forest for the trees, because his main message in these is the fact that we are being divided, not only amongst ourselves, but we're allowing the powers that be to divide us, because we're allowing things like cancel culture, the media. We're allowing our differences whenever we all are struggling, unless we're one of the oligarchs or one of the people that's in power, we're allowing ourselves to be divided instead of taking and working together for a common cause and for the common good of us all. That's been the main point of every one of his videos that he's put out. That people are like, oh my God, because they missed the forest for the trees, and the message is contained within the song, and the insanity of which he takes and raps about. Do I agree with everything he says? Hell no. However, missing the forest for the trees because you disagree with a certain part of what's being said makes you more small-minded than taking and just listening to the message contained within and finding that nugget, finding the truth in what he's saying. He's been labeled far right. You listen to his songs, this cat's a liberal. Like, he's got liberal viewpoints. Very liberal viewpoints. He's far away from the far right as you can be, but he's also not like super duper progressive. But if whatever liberal viewpoints he might have, so to speak, he marries with the fact that we're all in the same thing together. So I find that the most interesting thing whenever I take and have watched other people and his stuff before I started actually reacting to his stuff myself, is the fact that they missed the forest for the trees and the message that he's trying to put out, that we're all in this together, regardless of what our disagreements are. We can disagree amongst ourselves, but the fact that we're letting the powers that be and like the cancel culture and stuff like that dictate what we do and can and can't do, and whether or not we can or cannot get along, is more indicative on what we need to work on and who the actual enemy in this country is. We don't live, and he said democracy. We don't have democracy in this country no more. If you take a look at the classical definition of fascism, with the corporations and the military taking and running things, you take a look at who runs the rights of policy in this country. Military industrial complex and the corporations. Who writes the policy? The corporations. As he said, the politicians are bought and paid for, but who's taking? Who's the ones buying them? That's the question everybody needs to take and ask. Everybody. So I don't agree with everything that Tom says. However, the message behind what he puts out and how we need to take and stop, number one, the identity politics, the fussing and fighting because this is what the news said, or this is what cancel culture takes and says is right. Stop with all that. Work together towards a common goal, because it doesn't matter what color you are. Unless you're one of the oligarchs that are in power, we're in the same situation. Granted, we need to take, and for those that don't have maybe some of the same benefit, help where you can. Reach out to take and actually try to stop whatever injustices are happening. But we're all in this. We're all in this together. As cliche as that may sound, work together as one. Stop paying attention to the media. Stop paying attention to the government officials that are trying to take and divide us even further with their rhetoric. Because it doesn't matter if it's left or right. They're all trying to divide us. Because the more they divide us, the more money they make. That's just the simple truth of the matter. It gets me that a lot of reactors and a lot of folks, they don't see the forest for the trees when it comes to the messaging behind the lyrics. If you just listen. So that being said, y'all be good to each other. Love yourselves. Peace.